try and briefly answer so that maybe someone else can ask questions or not, or maybe I'll ask the question and let some other people ask one or two questions, and then you guys can all say something. And the question is this. Becky ended her presentation saying that humanity and our definition of humanity has changed over time. And clearly that's the case. And you gave some good examples, so let's just stay there. But we could also say that there is a certain sense in which what human has stayed the same. And we can go, if we could teletransport back to Bill's world in ancient Greece, we would probably recognize human beings as human beings physically. And we would also, I think, recognize one other aspect of human beings, which a man named Sophocles talked about at that time, which is that on the one hand, human beings are technological beings. They strive to overcome themselves, as he says in the Ode to Man. And yet they're mortal beings. There's certain limits that they can't overcome, right? Now, whether or not we can ever solve the traveling salesman problem, what all three of you seem to assume, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, is that at some point, whether it's in 35 years or 50 years or 70 years, there's a decent chance that, as Freeman Dyson says, the new artists of the future, you guys, are not going to be painters, you're going to be working on genes. And we could be creating whatever we're going to call them, humans or whatever, that look like, half human, half ape, half human, half horse, half human, half computer. We could be growing new kinds of beings. It's very likely that we will not look physical. We may not even have a physical presence. We may be spiritual presences who live on computers. So that's a change that is unlike any of the other changes, right? And it's also a chance that, while limits may not exist, and Bill talked a lot about limits, the limits that we've recognized as being human, which is whether the average life expectancy is 40 years or 80 years, is not that big a difference. But when you get to immortality, when you get to 1,000 years, which these people may live to, right? That changes things. Do we recognize ourselves as part of the same species? And on an ethical level, as Barbara was talking about, when we can, in a sense, calculate to a degree unbelievable, unknown to human comprehension, right? That what it would mean to have the Earth survive or to live on another planet, we may require changes from a technical point of view in humanity that allows us to survive in a good way. That would be ethically problematic. That never would be possible, conceivable to a human population from the Greeks until the present. So three different ideas of a transformation that all three of you seem to accept, that I think really do raise the question of, is the new species that Kurzweil is in a sense asking for going to in any way be meaningfully human? All right. We don't have a lot of time, so let them think about this. And does anyone else want to throw a question into the mix? Or should we let them answer this and see if we have more time? Thomas, what do we do?
It's related question, which is about the significant, and presumably no one, no offense if anyone has a neural implant, but presumably no one here does yet. And so the part of what comes home to us is the implications for we pre-neural implant people to think about what the good life is, what the moral questions that Barbara was asking, and that you all eventually were. What I'm wondering about particularly is the significance for Kurzweil, but it seems like a problematic claim, the idea that we can live forever, but we can also choose when we're going to die. Because the idea of question is one question is what is the orientation if we are redefining terms like excellence, virtue, morality, and as Barbara said, fortunately he's not an evil genius, and what we want is to be directed toward noble goals. How it is that we know he's not an evil genius, or how it is that we know what a noble goal is is part of what's at question, what it is that orients that moral inquiry. And what it traditionally, the idea of eternal life for the Christian West, and even for Kant, actually, it was sort of the end of the Christian West, but an attempt to articulate a modern morality. Even for Kant, the idea of the eternality of the soul is crucial for orienting moral life. So it seems important that Kurzweil wants there to be the possibility of a very long time that we might be around, so that the decisions we make, we have to live with for a very long time. But on the other hand, we also don't. We can end it when we want. It's our decision to end it when we want. So the question is, given that picture, what orients? What are the signposts? What orients our rethinking of what a noble goal is? What orients our redefinition of the terms, such that they have, such that we recognize them as good, as we should do this and not do that?
We have really 10 minutes, so I'm going to give you each 3.5 minutes, and I'm going to have to be a little bit more strict so we can get this done. Anyone want to begin? Want to go back in
We
reverse
begin
order?
with we.
Okay, we could, sure.
The word we. Is that a group reaching consensus, or is it on a one-by-one basis? And if we can merge human and machine intelligence, he points out again and again, as computers can merge with each other, so we human/machines will merge with each other as we please, which he rather fancifully compares with falling in love. So the social organization of this future of long-lived beings is problematic. I'm quite concerned with public discourse on assisted suicide if I'm being kept alive to 110 with low quality of life and enslaving you folks to support me and in a proportion of your wage power that is far greater than now. So, but I do want to say that a wonderful Bard student 10 years ago, Steve Bureau, went from here to an MA in philosophy where his thesis was, the question was, would we, if the bodily problems were solved, want to live forever? And his answer was, some people would, and this is why. Humans are happy from having projects, and as you're involved in the project, in the flow of the project, you are happy. And there are potentially an infinite number of projects. So even though we've uploaded our brains, we're spiritual beings, we can set one project after another and be happy engaging it and finishing it, or we can multitask. So he says perhaps not all people are like that, but he personally thought he wouldn't mind living forever. So
Thank you very much.
Yeah, just briefly, that's my thoughts as Thomas was asking the question were also going to this idea, sort of the question of boredom, I think, becomes absolutely essential if you think about a 1,000-year lifetime. I have to say, as a kid, when I was taken to church and told about heaven, I thought, my God, that sounds awful. I hope there's no heaven because it sounds so boring and it goes on forever. Oh, so I think, I wonder if our ideas about virtue and morality might not be oriented in an odd way toward novelty and projects of whatever kind, something to keep one engaged seems to me incredibly more important. This is a little bit snide, but the other thing that I just have to comment is someone, I think it was Marvin Minsky, pointed out that technological futurists who talk about how we're going to be able to live forever invariably believe that the date that this is going to take effect is about their 70th birthday. Yeah. With incredible regularity. So it's snide, but it's interesting that does happen. Going back to Roger's question, again, I think this Bill's idea of having projects.
Steve Burroughs.
Thank you. Projects, presumably to try to overcome our limits, right, would continue, I think, to be central. I'll stop there.
I think that this is a question that every generation of people has wrestled with or should have wrestled with in their own way, and that we have, instead of telling other people what to do, we have to give them the tools that it takes to make the right decisions. I think that's the point of art. I think that's the point of education. For me, my immediate response as I'm hearing you read that is, oh my God, I've never read enough Kant, I've never read enough Arendt, I'd better go read those tonight because I can't make a reasonable decision until I hear what they have to say. And then I thought, wait, it's not me making the decision. I'm not going to be telling other people what to do. So what we need to do is have that in elementary school. You know, I put all the power in education. You have to be not intelligent, wise enough, and learn enough from other people's mistakes that you don't keep doing the same thing over and over. If you are as smart as you are now, when you're 700 years old, this will be a sick, sick world. And it's not because you're not smart now. It's because you're supposed to get better. And so as you go through time, you acquire more experience and more knowledge. The good thing about reading as a technology, or uploading brilliance as a technology, is that it spares you personal agony. I'm all about sparing you personal agony, no agony for you. That if you can do that by learning from Sophocles and Kant and anyone else, learn from them, and that's my solution. It's just that everyone needs a good education. We do not have, I mean, I'm telling you, yes, we have too many students at Bard. It's too big, class size enrollment. If I could enroll every single living human, including everyone in prison, in Bard, man, give us 4 years and we can change the world. That would be great.
It's a good way to end. Thank you all. We're going to have some more of these.